2, 1, go.
Appreciate you coming to the podcast and joining us, man.
No worries, man.
Jon Pye, young realtor. I really, saw kind of what you were doing on the investment side. I really appreciate your background and really happy to be in business with you and supporting you with Powered by Newstream, man. So really appreciate you coming to the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate having me, man. It's been definitely a lot easier said than done. There's been a lot of fires that had to be put out over the years, but through it all, there was a lot of learning, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys as well. I feel like we're both kind of aligned in the sense where what you guys are trying to do is similar to what I want to do with raising money, buying properties, and scaling a team. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to those 3 pillars that you just mentioned, because, they're just all really big initiatives, which one excites you the most?
Which one excites me the most? It depends what day you ask me. Like 2 days ago, I was putting out a fire in one part of it, so it wasn't very exciting. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it depends what day. I think all of them,
it's all of them, right?
Yeah, I think all of them, yeah.
That's the beauty of real estate, right? Is just,
there's so many different ways you can go about it. Yeah.
So many different ways for you to go about it. There's so many different ways, obviously, to make money and so many ways to work with people, help them make money and work together to take advantage of some of the opportunities right now. So I think you're right. I think the investment side, the team side, I know you want to grow both those sides. On the real estate side, like as a realtor, I know you've been coached by some of the top coaches, a lot of experience on the real estate side. What do you think is one of the biggest things that has helped you be successful as a realtor specifically?
Systems, for sure. Scripting plays a big part. Yeah, I think just those two, because at the end of the day, as long as you have a certain system, no matter what cycle of market you're in, you're going to thrive. As long as you have a system that works and you kind of repeat it. And treating it like a business, not just kind of doing like fly by night, try to get business here and there, having a specific system for lead gen, marketing, and just converting leads, close deals.
Yeah. No, man, I'm really looking forward to working with you on that and the marketing side, the growth side. What would you say about sort of the systems that you've kind of implemented in your business are, the most important pieces and the unique things that you're obviously going to be adding value to the agents that you bring on your team moving forward?
I think the biggest one is probably defining an active client to a non-active client. A lot of agents confuse themselves with being busy where they're not actually busy. They're working with a lot of people that are looking, 6 to 12 months out, and those aren't real active clients. So putting those into a database to be followed up with and only focusing on clients that are looking to buy within 3 to 5 months or sell within 1 to 2 months and make sure that you have a steady flow of business every month and not hills and valleys in your revenue.
I love that. Something that we've been really focused in on the team is really having that structure of the system and understanding, where our potential clients or clients are in the life cycle of whether it's investing or buying. If you don't mind sharing, maybe like right now, the way we have it obviously is, there may be somebody looking to transact in the next 3 to 6 months, and then there may be like the 6 to 12 months, and then there's almost like the 12 plus month, which is at that point, it's very hard to tell exactly what and when because they're so far out. But one of the things that I've been looking at is really cutting that down further into more buckets to really kind of, track all the different touch points that you may have with the client to get them to a place where not only they may be looking to transact, but where the relationship is at a point well nurtured. Do you have a bit of a secret you can share maybe on your process of how that looks like in terms of, bucketing the different leads? Is it just as simple as 3 to 5 months and everything else, or do you have something a little bit more fine-tuned?
Pretty much just as simple as that. Within 3 to 5 months, you'd get a value proposition to book an appointment to then become a client. Outside of the 3 to 5 months, then we would ask to follow up. And let's say they say follow up in 12 months, so we cut it in half, follow up in 6 months. And then that's pretty much it.
Got it. So ideally just as simply as making sure you're categorizing the people that are, qualified for the next 3 to 5 months and then allocating, majority of resources there. That's good. Yeah, I like that. I really do think that is important because it just allows you to focus and, make sure you're not spreading yourself too thin and not having things organized. But I do think that just that nurturing aspect of all those people that maybe 6 months plus, I think that's important too, and working on different ways, whether it's systems, whether it's marketing or...
I think I understand your question more now. Drip campaigns, different drip campaigns for different types of clients. So like an investor would get a drip campaign for off-market deals, or maybe put on a buyer's list for off-market deals. For like a trade-up buyer looking to sell their house, maybe tips and tricks, a PDF guide on how to market their property or the best things they could do from now to get it ready. So probably drip campaigns, but of course we don't want to have our team putting too much time into calling and nurturing people that aren't ready yet. So more the automated side of it with drip campaigns and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think the automated stuff is important. And we have like a lot of really good, campaigns that we've worked hard on for like first time home buyers and And there's just so many different segments of, people, like whether it's first-time home buyers, seniors, the investors, the different types of investors and all that. So yeah, I mean, the drip campaigns are important, but I do think like the personal touch points also, like I feel like nurturing the relationship where there's those personal communication, I think that just helps build the rapport and credibility and just, increases the likelihood. But you're right, you need to have that focus on business that's in the pipeline and already there. Anything else that you would share? Like if you're obviously growing your team, you're going to be working with new agents. Is there something like for a realtor that you say is like a mandatory kind of thing that they need to understand or do in order to be successful in the business, in your opinion?
Some sort of coaching or training to some degree. Because when you get your license, they teach you the things that you absolutely have to know. They don't teach you how to get new business and how to nurture that business, kind of what we're talking about right now. So coaching and training in some regard, which you can get from a team, shameless plug, or you can hire a coach. So there's a few different ways you can go about it for sure.
Yeah. But is there anything specifically like, obviously you're going to be coaching your team and we're going to be there to support you with Powered by New Street and helping you with all that. But as a realtor, you kind of have to understand and execute on as part of that coaching.
Just show up. Yeah. As long as you have the system and the coaching, just show up and do it for long enough and you'll succeed for sure. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's doing the things and having the right people to coach you through it, right? But as long as you're showing up, taking advantage of whatever the systems are, the training is. And that's the thing about real estate too. As a realtor, it's like, there's so many different ways to do it, right? So many people have been successful in real estate in different ways. Like there's a lot of like consistencies with a lot of successful people, but there's variances in terms of some have really done well with social media. Some have really done well with door knocking. And essentially there's some pillars, right, are there that are consistent that you've seen across successful people, but there's obviously different teams, different ways. For property partners, the team, what's the vision? What's kind of like the goal and what kind of team are you looking to build with property partners?
So two aspects of it. Property partners real estate is the agent side, where essentially we provide agents booked appointments with buyers and sellers. So we have an inside sales agent who is licensed and we do all the marketing in-house. So we get leads, they book the appointments based on what I just mentioned with the timing questions, making sure these are qualified clients ready to go. Agents work with the clients and that's pretty much it. On the training side, talk about like the chain of commitment, making sure you're always setting the next appointment and working with real active clients. And then on the other side is property partners capital, where we're going to be raising money and then buying properties through joint venture partnerships with clients, with previous, investor clients, people within our network. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love it, man. And I want to get into the capital side in a minute, but just on the agent side. So an agent, when they join your team, what they can expect is essentially warm leads and a marketing system that is basically going to be helping them kind of get that reoccurring lead flow, and then the coaching and training that goes with it in terms of, being able to kind of convert that lead and close it and all that. That's amazing, man. And what kind of people are you looking for on the team? Is there any specific profile? Are you looking for new agents so you can kind of help mold them, or are you looking for some more experienced agents in terms of doing it?
Kind of looking for myself when I first started, like someone just coachable. Doesn't matter if you've been in the business for 10 years or if this is your first few months. As long as you're coachable, and like I said, if you show up, then that right there, like that's it. Yeah. Someone willing to learn.
Yeah. I just learned this recently, but you said your mom is also in real estate? Yeah. Is that something that you grew up with, or has that helped you in your real estate career?
Yeah. So when I was probably in 2016 or 2017, I was going for my real estate license and I was getting into coding as well at the same time. And I almost didn't even get my license. My mom was the one that told me to get it. And then I did. I got training from a coach at the time. So yeah, like it's helped in that regard because I wouldn't have even done it if it wasn't for her. But on the training and coaching side, I kind of did my own path. Like I was more interested in the investing side where she wasn't. Mm-hmm. But as a support system, 100%. Yeah, it helped a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you were on one of the top teams in Durham. At the beginning of your career, was there something specifically that you learned there? I guess you kind of understood the value of a team there, right? But is there something specific that you kind of got out of that experience?
Everything, yeah. Like when it comes to the systems and scripting and training, I would probably be doing leases. Like to this day, like everything. Yeah, for sure, everything. Like, yeah, A to Z.
A to Z, that's it. Yeah. And in terms of the follow-up workflow or anything that goes into sort of converting a lead, is there anything that you can share that maybe you've learned from coaching or that you're kind of looking to implement in your team that can help other realtors out there that may be listening as it relates to helping them convert more leads?
Get a value proposition for whoever you're talking to. So like if you're talking to a seller, you should have a seller value proposition, or like a first time buyer, you should have a first time buyer value proposition, or an investor. Everyone's going to be different. And if you have a qualified client, it's almost similar to an elevator pitch. There's a value proposition for the client to want to work with you. Like, what's your value in an elevator pitch?
Yeah.
Then you'll convert on the street, you'll convert over the phone, you'll convert door knocking anywhere.
I love that. It's true. You got to have, like, we worked a lot on our listing value proposition because that's the bulk of our business, but that value prop. And then maybe as we get into the capital side and property partners capital, can you share like just a little bit maybe about your investor value prop and how you maybe intend to integrate the team side with the capital side for an investor? Is there like a specific maybe strategy or something you're looking to do there? Because obviously I think working with investors has become a lot more common, and there's an opportunity to take anybody and kind of help them become an investor, and then also, you know, help them have that reoccurring transaction where they can invest and grow their portfolio. What's your kind of take on that in terms of integrating the team into maybe the investment side, and how do you see that coming together?
So property partners capital is more for the everyday person, I guess, that would want to take part in getting the passive income from real estate, but doesn't know how to go about doing it themselves, where they could be an investor client on the property partners real estate side, but they don't know all the intricacies of, let's say, like cap rates, deciding you're going to do a burr or a flip, or like different areas you want to look in. So it's more for the everyday person that wants to get into it. And we could potentially do a few deals together where they can learn by being part side from us and doing it with us. And then they can go and do it themselves, being fully educated while also making money while getting educated.
Yeah, I love it. So what would be like an ideal candidate for the capital side? Would they be, like you're saying, somebody that may just want to put in some money, not necessarily be involved, or potentially somebody that may want to be involved?
Passive partner.
Passive partner.
Only passive
So
partner.
only passive.
Yeah, yeah. We're active partner, and then we're looking for passive partners. So that's what I was saying. It's not really for the everyday. Like if you're already an investor, you're just going to be an investor client and you know what you're looking for. Yeah. But for somebody that's not an investor client, doesn't really know too much about the investing side, then they'd be a passive partner.
Got you. So they'd be a passive partner on the capital side, put in a little bit of money, and then you would help them invest that and help them monetize that. So on the active side, what does that look like in terms of your team and maybe your value prop, or how you're going to be helping investors on that end?
So I guess it comes down to their goals. If their goal is to get long-term passive income, then we would probably look for a longer-term burr where we would buy the property, reposition it, whether it's increasing rents or doing renovations to increase the value, particularly buying it off market to get a better deal. And then, getting the refi out, getting money out within, 6 to 18 months, paying back the partner, and then getting that passive cash flow every single month. Whereas if they just want quick cash, then they would be a private lender for more of a flip. That could be the same, like 6 to 18 months, but just depends on their goals.
Got it. And as an active investor, what role would your team play in that situation? Are you guys just helping secure the property, or are you more involved in sort of the optimization of the property?
Everything.
Yeah. Even for an active investor?
No. So for an active investor, they would just be a client of property partners real estate. So we would just represent them in the deal.
Got you.
But if we're the active partner, we do everything. So we find the deal, we negotiate the deal, manage all renovations, do tenant management, tenant screening, basically everything A to Z, where the passive partner invests in the deal and they don't even know the deal exists. They just get a return on their money.
I always find there's this bucket of investors where they're not necessarily on the passive and they're not necessarily on the active, where like they want to be part of the deal. They want to like get involved in maybe the construction or
like just pick one or the other. And like it's the worst.
But it's like yeah, I get it. It's like go on the passive side, learn.
Yeah, that would be me. Yeah.
Go on the passive side, learn, and then do it on your own type of situation. But I think there's some opportunity there in the middle too. Yeah, so let's get into the investment side. Maybe like, can you share some information on some of like the projects that you've been involved with? I know that you specialized in sort of the tertiary and secondary markets. I know you've done a lot of property investments there. Maybe share a little bit about some like successful past projects, and then kind of leaning into where things are going.
Yeah, for sure. So we primarily buy in outer markets, like we buy in Sudbury a lot, starting to look outside of Ontario now. And the main type of projects we look for is up to a 4-unit. That's what we've been doing. We'll buy a distressed property and we'll look for getting it 80%. So similar calculation to doing a flip, but instead we would do 80% loan to value, and then we would buy it, renovate it, and then refinance after the fact.
Got it. And then why Sudbury?
Sudbury, numbers make sense. Price to rent ratios, you can still do burrs. Here, you can't really do burrs. You can do burrs very rarely if rents are very far below market value on a commercial deal, and then you do cash for keys to get everyone out and bump up the value based on that. In Toronto GTA, it's very tough to do. It's very tough now.
Yeah. And then Sudbury's kind of been the main location. There's no other kind of locations that you would say are opportunistic. I know I've heard of like Timmins, North Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, but I guess Sudbury is kind of like the focus.
Yeah, like Timmins, it's still okay. I mean, the population for me is a little bit too small. I want a population of a little bit bigger. I think Sudbury now is 160,000 people. So prices are still pretty good. The population is good as well. Starting to look at areas in New Brunswick, looking at Moncton now in New Brunswick, just based on population growth. And it's been like 2% per year for the last 3-4 years, something like that. Also looking in Edmonton as well. So yeah, a little bit all over the place looking right now.
The beauty with partnering with us at the EXP organization is that we are able to partner with people in Edmonton and New Brunswick. So I'm looking forward to that. And I know we've had some conversations with some folks out there. So that's another great benefit is, we can grow our organization in those provinces. And that's what I'm really excited about. Like, I love Ontario and even like small town Ontario, and like we operate in different markets. And I'm just excited of like opening. I've been very close-minded most of my life on Ontario.
What's your take on Edmonton now? Like looking out there, and I guess like what your partners are saying and stuff too.
Honestly, I don't know much about Edmonton. We do have an agent that we've talked to in Edmonton that's looking to go into our organization. But other than that, yeah, I don't know much about the market. Like I said, like I'm very close-minded on Ontario. Like this is all I know. And like obviously Florida, a lot of people are doing things in Florida. Looked at some of the statistics in Texas and some of the growth there. And Calgary, everybody's talking about Calgary, and the pre-construction, sector has just been really focused on Calgary last year. So I've looked at some of these markets and I know of them. I know there was a deal in Edmonton that I looked at a year ago that looked really good. And I know there's opportunities. I know that the numbers would make more sense. But for some reason, I feel like all those opportunities are pretty similar to Calgary is almost like, I feel like the numbers are sort of like a Niagara. Like the numbers, if you just look at the numbers, like they're similar. And I'm like, if I'm going to do something, I'd rather do it in Niagara. I don't know. And then if it's, Edmonton, I'm like, that's probably like a Sudbury or like a Timmins. I don't know.
Only thing is the tenant laws too. Tenant laws are a lot more attractive.
Okay, yeah. I never looked at that specifically. So maybe we could talk about that. What's going on with the tenant laws in Edmonton?
Oh, I probably asked the wrong guy, but I'm a little bit familiar.
They're different though than Ontario.
I think you can evict, don't quote me on this, I want to say within 14 days, and it's a sheriff that'll go and evict them. Whereas here, the average is like 186 days for an eviction here in Ontario.
That's after you go through the legal process?
I got to look more. I'm not too familiar with the system, but I know it's a lot better.
I know the States, right? Yeah, I know the States, it's a lot better. And I think that's probably the biggest thing with Ontario. Florida, yeah. Everybody's talking about Florida. The thing that I love the most is just working at a brokerage where we can collaborate and partner with people in all these different states and provinces. And for me, it's like, I'd rather just do that and work with them, get to understand the market a little bit more. And then once I get comfortable, then look at, how do we invest and do that kind of thing. But yeah, it's great to be able to work in a brokerage where we can get on a Zoom, get on a call and really like pick people's brains and learn about different markets. So I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity in sort of, I would call it like the newer build or / vacant properties or like zoning conversion. You know what I mean? I think that is like where there's a lot of opportunity, like looking at, hey, is there a commercial opportunity that we can rezone to residential? Where now it's vacant, no tenants. There's so much value that we're adding through just the rezone, through a, site plan approval on the land side, looking at those kind of opportunities where you can maybe get something site plan approved. So I think there's just going to be like, because of the tenant laws being so difficult, I think the opportunities are going to start to change a little bit to situations where there aren't tenants, where it can maybe convert something and that sort of thing. So I just think there's enough opportunity in Ontario. So I haven't really done any like too much due diligence on other parts, but I know that everyone is gone and everyone's leaving and everyone's...
Yeah, bro. The new capital gains tax too.
Capital gains tax, damn, yeah, I know.
That's crazy, bro. 67%. They haven't approved it yet fully, but 67% capital gain now as of June 20.
I guess like just don't sell, man. Hold. Just hold. Just hold,
Florida, bro. That's it.
Well, no.
You got to get out of here.
You got to get out of here. No, I'm saying hold. Don't sell. If you don't sell, you don't have capital gains, right? I think that the refi flex is going to become that much more valuable now, right? Because it's better than having to sell and pay those capital gains on some of these properties. I think that's the whole idea is, we were talking before on a podcast, it's like, as much as we're in real estate and listings, it's hold if you can, right? And, try to build a portfolio, right? I think that's one thing that we're really passionate about. And I know that you're passionate about. what you're doing. So yeah, man, I think that's the place. So yeah, Sudbury is where you focused a lot of your past efforts. What's the future look like? Like, yeah, we're talking about all these different areas. Is there something that you're really kind of like keen on where you're going to be pulling a trigger soon in terms of the different markets?
Really just somewhere that has a lot of population growth. I think there's going to be a lot of changes, like you said, in terms of allowing for new builds and there being new supply put on the market in a lot of these areas. So in my opinion, if there's not enough population growth to support new supply coming on the market, then that could stagnate a market's pricing, especially if you're doing commercial where the value is based on rent. So yeah, really anywhere that has a good population growth, like 1% per year is preferred, job growth as well. I think those are probably the heaviest weights on my decisions. And then past that is like crime rates, all that kind of stuff is secondary. But normally, if focusing on those two first, then crime rates is kind of a good crime rates is a byproduct of good job growth and good population growth because it gentrifies over time.
So you're saying Sudbury has been a really good stat line for that?
No, it's been trash. It's just it's just cash flow is good.
It's just cash flow. So the end is just
no. You asked me going forward.
Yeah, going forward. So what is there?
No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Is there a location though that's looking good in terms, like, I know you mentioned you're kind of looking at some of the more secondary markets now, and is it Hamilton, is it Niagara, or is it still some other further out?
New Brunswick. I think New Brunswick looks pretty good. Specifically Moncton. It's very specific on different areas within that province because you can go from really good areas to really dead areas. Also Edmonton, I think there's a lot of opportunity there as well. And then looking at the States, Columbus, Ohio for sure. I think there's a lot of opportunity. Going there at like 1 to 2% population growth, something like that. Just good.
Yeah. And then with some of the property partners capital, are you looking to like create an infrastructure where you can do the investments in the States?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's about that. Yeah. I remember my buddy, he bought something in Florida and he's looking to invest, and the infrastructure, like the corporate kind of accounting infrastructure is pretty wild. Yeah. It's like it's a pretty wild setup, but if you're gonna do it, then it's worth it. So overall, like, would you say New Brunswick is the focus right now?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah,
that or
New Brunswick. New Brunswick and Hamilton. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Is there something in Ontario that you are still looking at for opportunities?
Yeah, like, so when looking at specific markets, that's kind of what I'm focused on, but I'll really buy anywhere where the numbers look good. As long as the population is okay, like as long as it's not less than like 50 to 100K people there and the numbers are really good on the deal, then like I'll buy it. Mm-hmm. But preference is those cities, those areas. But yeah, really anywhere where the numbers are good and the population is pretty good. And population growth is okay as well. That's important.
Got you. And is there any cities that you would say are kind of in that category where you're seeing some good cash flow, some good opportunities right now?
No specific city, just like depending on the deal. Like if it's a motivated seller and whoever you get the deal from, you know, whether it's a wholesaler, another agent, or if it's a direct to seller deal, if it's a good enough deal for whatever reason, typically they'll exchange terms for price. So you give them terms that they want, you get the price. Then yeah, I'll do it.
Are you seeing opportunities in like Durham or more in like Niagara, or is it other sort of tertiary markets? Like tertiary, yeah? Which ones would you say, just because I'm always interested? I know a good friend of mine, he's done a lot of stuff in Sault Ste. Marie, but is there any other just pockets just people can research?
Yeah, like Sault Ste. Marie's good. North Bay is pretty good. I just got a deal the other day from a wholesaler. It was like $600K for 3 duplexes.
Wow.
Yeah.
In North Bay.
North Bay.
Yeah, that's a good one. That sounds pretty interesting.
Windsor too. Cities just outside of Ottawa, I find, are pretty good because the population's small in a lot of them, but they're close enough to Ottawa to where like commuters, so you can make some good cash flow there. Yeah.
How do you facilitate the optimization of the property, especially in areas maybe that you don't work in regularly? Like, how do you get the crew set up and whatever optimizations you're going to do? What does that look like? Is it a lot of logistics?
Yeah. So mainly through the network and then just getting on groups, Facebook groups or whatever, trying to find contractors there, investors, realtors that I know there that are top of the market who I can reach out to, ask for any recommendations that they have. Yeah. And then just kind of taking a bit of a gamble if you haven't used a contractor before. But what's preferred is if you know somebody within your network and then they can give you a contractor. So you know that they're okay, that's preferred. Doesn't always happen, but that's preferred.
Yeah. So ultimately getting a referral from the network that you've built over time. I guess in a place like Sudbury, you've already had like a crew or whatnot. So that's why it's good to just stick to one area because you can kind of build out that
especially with raising money for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a system.
And you're confident and you know the people and stuff like that. Yeah. So if there was another location outside of Sudbury that you'd be like, okay, I want to build a team and invest in, what would that be? Would that be the Edmonton or would it be somewhere else that you
Yeah.
really want to get out of Edmonton? Okay. We'll talk about that because I know there was a couple.
Or Ohio, yeah.
Ohio, yeah.
Florida, yeah.
Oh, Florida, yeah. That's it. That's it, man. Let's go. Let's do it. Cool, man. Anything else just before we wrap up on the investment side? Anything else interesting that you're seeing sort of with obviously interest rates kind of been stabilized for a while, different news headlines? Is there anything that you're what's your outlook on the market?
I mean, it's bullish, but then every other week it turns to bearish. Like right now, I think they're pricing in for a rate cut. This is as of May 10th, 2024, but tomorrow it's probably going to be different stats. But a rate cut, well, like 30% next month. And then the following month in July, I think it's like between 60 to 80% chance. Inflation was at 2.9, whereas previous month was at like 2.8, so it went up by a bit. So in that regard, the number is bullish right now, but they change so frequently. I think at some point they're going to cut it. It's just hard to say when. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I was focusing on the inflation and the interest rates kind of beginning of the year. And
even now, it's hard for me to keep focusing.
Yeah,
it changes so much.
And it was hard because you were kind of thinking the team's gotten a little bit busy with listings and activity on the real estate side. So now I'm just like focused more on the stats on the real estate side. And what I've seen is we've had a good little period in the last, say, month or two where things have been selling at a decent kind of rate in comparison to listings. But basically what we're seeing now is like listings are really just starting to stack up. So like there's stuff that maybe in the last month or two that didn't sell. Like
what I think it is too, the capital gains right after the news came out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it correlates.
Yeah. A lot of people are making that forecast that like people just want to liquidate before that happens.
Yeah, that's when it happens.
I think it's also, spring. Everybody wants to wait till spring. And I was telling a lot of people that are looking to sell, like list now, like before, because I feel like the spring may see a lot of inventory, and it's kind of happening where you're seeing just the sales to listing wasn't great, like in the last month or two. So the sales weren't keeping up with the listings, but there were still good sales. But now what's happened is like, not only do you have those listings that didn't sell, now you're just seeing the inventory pile up in a lot of different markets. And that's just kind of causing it to create a much more of a buyer's market where I feel like in the last month or two, it's been sort of, balanced, where it's been kind of a seller-ish kind of.
That's what I mean. Like based on the data, it looks like a bullish outlook, whereas the market's going to go up over the next few months. But then looking at something like that, because I've seen that too. A lot of new listings coming.
Yeah, and like the worst one is the condo market. It's crazy. The amount of listings. The freehold's been holding up, but I feel like now it might also kind of see that same sort of impact if listings continue to pile up. The sales aren't there. Like I think the buyers are coming back and there's some confidence and they're looking, but it's not on like that crazy level where things are just flying off the shelf. I think the stuff that's selling is really, strategically priced, and there's a strategy there in terms of getting it sold. But I think as the inventory piles up, I think we're going to have a little bit of a stretch for the next little while, probably more on a buyer's market side. And then we'll see where it happens. I think, if the interest rates get cut and things like that start to happen as we get further down into the end of the year and next year, then we'll see. It might be balanced, but like you said, it's hard to say.
Hard to say. Yeah, there's so many.
I think last thing I just glanced at it, I didn't read it, but it was like Bank of Canada announces there is reasons to hike interest rates.
Yeah, bro. Tomorrow it's the opposite.
I was like, oh my god.
That's what I had to say. Today is May 10th, and this is what I'm saying today.
That's it. Yeah. All right, man. Cool. Tell me, is there anything that you're specifically excited about partnering up with us at New Street, at EXP? What's your outlook on that, and what's your thoughts on kind of the future?
I think what I'm most excited about is that the visions are aligned. Prior to me joining, talking about what you guys want to do with, buying deals off market and making the most out of repositioning large multi-unit buildings, scaling a team at the same time. I think that's what I'm most excited about because it's the exact same as what I want to do. So, yeah.
Got it. I love it, man. And in terms of the collaboration, is there anything that you're excited about in terms of us working together and kind of like really having an impact on the industry?
Yeah, just doing things on both ends. As in, like we were saying earlier, there's so many different things you can do in real estate, like scaling the agent side, also doing joint ventures, buying deals, eventually getting into some new builds, new development projects, scaling in different areas, seeing what makes sense. Like, I know I kept saying Florida as a joke, but really like scaling down there, maybe even like you're saying with EXP, bringing that down there too. So just the endless possibilities because there's so many different ways you can go about it. I think that's what I'm most excited about.
The thing that I'm most excited about with partnering with you and what we're doing is just having the ability, because obviously you have a lot of strengths as it comes to marketing yourself. And there's just those alignments that we have on that front. And we can really work together and help do greater things. And then also just your approach to coaching and all that you come with your insights on the investment side. I feel like, by collaborating, it's this unique opportunity where now like realtors and team leaders can now collaborate and work together and touch more people and help more people, you know what I mean? In different ways, whether it's on the investment side, whether it's on the team side. I'm just excited about collaborating to just help grow and help more people, do some really cool stuff.
See, that's the one part I know about in theory, like being at EXP and being able to help other people grow by being in the same organization. I only know about it in theory, like hearing you talk about it, but I'm excited to really see it actually happen and come to fruition.
That's it, man. Yeah. Awesome. All right, cool, bro. Let's do it. Let's do that. Thanks for coming through,
bro.
man. One of these at the end. I'll try to keep it low because the cameras are low. So that's it, man. Appreciate you.